The Church of St. George. This succursal church, with its eastern church tower from the second half of the 13th century, is a typical representative of the Corinthian type of Romanesque churches, and it has been proclaimed a cultural monument of the highest level. The patron St. George indicates the early building of the church. Therefore, it was no surprise that the 1993 archaeological excavations unearthed foundations of two older building phases. The pre-Romanesque building belonging to the period from the first half of the 9th century to the first half of the 10th century was an early medieval one-nave chapel with the so-called inscribed apse. The contemporary Old Slavic graves at the southern and eastern side of the original church with their grave finds belong to the Kutlach cultural group or the younger culture of the Alpine Slavs. Among the additions in the graves, the most numerous are the bronze temple rings and round bronze ornamental buckles, of which the most interesting one carries the image of a peacock as an old Christian symbol of immortality. When Carinthia had to acknowledge Franconian supremacy in the 8th century, intensive Christianization of the area began. The early medieval church, with its uncovered foundations in the present-day Church of St. George, is therefore one of the oldest buildings of this type in the Aquila missionary area. In the first half of the 12th century, in the width of today's church nave, a Romanesque church with a large semicircular apse was built at the site where the original chapel burned down. In the 13th century, the apse was replaced by a square presbytery with a choir church tower. Minor adjustments to the building's framework were made also in the Baroque and Gothic periods.